Once upon a time, a long time ago, there was a little girl who lived with her mother and her father and her little brother Timmy in a big blue house at the end of a long gravel driveway in a little town called Tillamook, Oregon, right on the Oregon coast. The mom and the dad moved there because the mom wanted to live by the ocean and the dad wanted to live by the mountains, and neither one of them wanted to shovel snow. And so there they were. There was no aunts or uncles or cousins or grandmas or grandpas or anyone nearby that was related to them. And so their family was their church family. And at first, the people they hung out with at church were the people that had kids just like them, the same age. And they did lots of fun things together. And then one day, the mommy said, I think we should get to know the rest of our church family. We're going to do something special. And back then, in the olden days, there were church directories that were printed on paper. And the mommy took the church directory and she opened it up and she said, we're going to start inviting people home from our church directory and we're going to get to know them. And the little girl, the little boy said, even the old people and the people with grown-up kids like the ones in 7th and 8th grade, we're going to invite them over? Who will we have to play with? And the mommy said, well, we're going to get to know them. And so that next week, on Monday, the mommy took her telephone, and back then her telephone had a rotary dial, and so she had to dial all the way 8, and let it go all the way back 4, and then she would dial the phone number of the first person in the A section of the alphabet of the church directory, and she said, hi, this is Jamie, and we were wondering if your family would like to come join us for lunch this Sabbath. And sure enough, that family said yes. And so all week long, the little girl and the little boy thought about what they were going to do on Sabbath because this family had 2 kids that were in high school. Would they even know how to play anymore? And so on Friday, the little girl did her chores. She had to vacuum the house and dust the things that were up high in the living room. And the little boy, he had to take out the garbage and fill the wood box and dust the things that were low, like the piano keys. And pretty soon it was Sabbath, and they went to Sabbath school, and they went to church, and when they got home from church, the mommy said, okay, it's time for you to help us get ready for company. And the little girl went, and she got the white lacy tablecloth, and she put it on the table, and she got out all the special Sabbath dishes and put them around on the table, and the knives and the forks and the napkins, and the cups in just the right place, because she wanted the Sabbath table to be extra special for the company. Pretty soon that was all ready, and the little girl and the little boy stood in the living room and they looked out down the street and they looked to see, is our company coming? Is our company coming? And pretty soon there it was, driving up the driveway. And the family got out and they went and they knocked on the door. Knock, knock, knock. And the little girl and the little boy opened the door and they said, welcome, welcome, come in, come in. And the family came in and they sat down in the living room and they started to visit. And the little girl and the little boy were kind of nervous as they wanted to go play. And so the little girl said to the high school girl, do you want to come see my room? And the high school girl said, sure. And they went to the room, and you know what? That high school girl, she knew how to braid hair. And so she showed the little girl on her dolly how to braid her hair in French braids. Well, by the time it was time to eat, the little girl didn't want to eat anymore. She wanted to stay and play with her new high school friend. But they went and they sat at the table, and they ate their delicious lunch of poppy seed noodle casserole and brown bread with strawberry jam and corn and salad with brownies for dessert, and got to know that new family. Well, the next Monday, they opened the phone directory and they said, Mom, who are we inviting next? And the next family, well, they didn't have any kids at all. Their kids were all grown up. Well, what were they going to do? Well, that week was just the same, and they did their chores on Friday to get ready for Sabbath. And they had Sabbath school in church, and they went home, and they got ready for their company to come. And sure enough, the old man and old woman came to the door and knock, knock, knock. And the little girl and little boy opened the door and said, welcome, come in. Well, in the hands of the old lady, she had a game in her hands. And she said to the mom, would it be okay if I played a game with the little girl and little boy while you finished getting lunch ready? And she got out her game. And she played a game with the little girl and little boy until lunch was ready to sit at the table. And they sat at the table and they got to know another family in their church, a grandma and grandpa. That could be their family too. And every week was exactly the same. They would look in the phone directory and invite the next family and have them over. And pretty soon, instead of just knowing a few people in the church that were had kids the same age as they were, they got to know all the people in the church, the grandmas and the grandpas and the aunts and the uncles and the college kids and the high school kids. They had such a wonderful time because they had spent time together. They had dined together. They ate lunch together. And because they spent that time together, they got to know one another and they got to become very good friends. There's a verse in the Bible where it says Jesus wants to dine with us. And you think, how can Jesus dine with us? I mean, we can't see Jesus right now. He's in heaven. But what that means is Jesus wants to come and he wants to spend time getting to know us. He doesn't want to be something far away that we don't know very well because we're just spending time with the people that are just like us. He is inviting us, but he doesn't come up and just knock on the door and say, I'm coming in to be with you. No, he says, hey, I'd like to come over and spend some time with you. And we can invite Jesus to come and spend time with us and get to know him. And you know what? We'll be surprised when we do because he's going to be the best friend we could ever have. Boys and girls, let's all take the time to invite Jesus to come and spend time with us and get to know him.